new means it challenges the existing world, right? From Schumpeter we have this term creative destruction, and innovation is a creative destruction. Means it creates something, it adds something, it makes things easier, more secure, better in any respect, but at the same time it replaces something. In the moment when we have a car, we don't need anymore a coach, a Postkutsche, no longer necessary. In the moment we have a cell phone, a mobile phone, other forms of or emails, other forms of communication are no longer that important. So of course an innovation replaces something, hopefully for the good. But still, there are people who own something, who have resources that build on the situation before, and their opinion can't be positive. That's also the reason for one of the reasons for the resistance. So innovations need entrepreneurs. That's what the one thing I wanted to state. And at the other hand, entrepreneurs need innovations. So people who would like to change something, who would like to be self-employed, who want to start a new firm, they should look for something new. So that's not so much use in becoming an entrepreneur and saying, well, I want to open another Italian restaurant. Well, there are, in case that there are hundreds already, like in Vienna, or or something similar. So these founding activities of these let's say they kind of keep the status quo. This is also important, of course, but it does not generate real value for society. The value for society comes from the innovation, from solving a problem. So this is the reason why these two elements must go together. But I think I went over your question. I'm sorry.
How many of your students are actual entrepreneurs already, and how many of them are managers that either want to have a business?
Well, it's a good question. To be honest up front, I don't have exact numbers on that because we have quite a number of students already. What we have done 2 years ago was trying to create a statistic on that issue, and we tried to follow up all alumni from the institute. Fortunately or unfortunately, the number is more than 1,000, and we were not able to track any of them. Some married, changed their name, some went to foreign countries, etc. So we have a dark figure. But from those, we noticed more than 150 firms being started, with altogether more than 1,000 jobs being created. So it is a number that is already, from my perspective, quite impressive. At the same time, I must again say that very probably the number is actually much higher than that, but we are not sure on that and do not want to make claims on numbers we don't know for sure. At the present, I'm the supervisor of one of the students for his MBA thesis, and so the sample is not that small, but it is not representative, of course. But those students I got to know were very dedicated, had much energy, and were very creative. And I always had the feeling that many of the students, and this can be generalized to let's say, I think most of the Middle and Eastern European students, they have a particularly strong will. They're eager to get something done. They want to learn and they want to improve themselves. So that's maybe one of the unifying issues or characteristics among all these Eastern European students.
But how about their entrepreneurial thinking? Is it realistic? How do you see it regarding Romanian entrepreneurs?
Well, from my perspective, yes. And let's say at a good degree, because too much realism is not the right thing. You have to be ambitious. You have to say, well, nobody thought about this before, and I'm going to think about it. And I will try to tackle that. Not in a fashion like running against the wall, of course, but recall that basically all successful and great entrepreneurs we know today were called idiots and crazy people and sure to fall and etc. during their attempts. Later on, we now say, well, Walt Disney and Steve Jobs and all these people, they had their visions and they were successful, but at their time there were questions. So realism is good, but too much realism can easily lead to pessimism, and pessimism is not a very good and helpful attitude for starting something that is really new.
Okay.
So my impression is very positive, I must say.
But how about some minuses?
Well, minuses, I don't think, or at least I don't see specific minuses from the Romanian or the Eastern European students. The one minus in a way is that they all have to learn. But this holds true for any who enters an MBA, or basically it holds true for all of us. Those who state that they don't have to learn anymore, I don't know, they're robots or I don't know what they are. Because of course anyone has to learn. And the awareness is very important. So,
is it also the experience very important for an entrepreneur?
To a degree, yes. Experience is important because then you know more about how an industry works, what specific problems exist in that industry, and what solutions can be. This is the positive side. On the other hand, typically experience narrows our thinking. So there are a number of studies on that, and they found that typically the newcomers, those with less experience, have the more radical ideas, the more innovative ideas. So there are pros and cons, so to say. So you can have too little experience and you can have too much experience.